Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to Alchemy's monthly webinar series. I am Matt Waxman. I am the now newly minted AVP of Sales and Marketing. I am excited to have you guys here for today's webinar presentation where we'll be digging into our Artisan Contractor General Liability program. I have some very, very special guests from the organization on this today, and I'm going to give them a minute to quickly introduce themselves as well. But again, we're excited to have you guys here. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Megan for an intro, and we can go from there.
I am Megan Kelly. I'm the AVP of Product and Underwriting for commercial lines at Alchemy, and the primary program I work on is the Contractors program. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about that today and some exciting news that we have for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Max Toyota. I am the Area Development Manager for the state of Florida, and I serve as a point of contact for all of you guys, all the agents for Florida who write the Artisan General Liability program, as well as the Builder's Risk program.
And I'm Lexi Lakovsky. I am the Sales Operations Coordinator. I handle intake of any agent questions and manage agency services.
Hi, I'm Matt Yar. I'm the newly minted marketing manager. I'm very new here, and I'm looking forward to being a part of my first webinar.
All right, everyone. Well, following traditional formats on our webinars, we're going to go ahead and do our welcomes and introductions. And then Megan is going to go over some of the top general liability exposures for small contractors, keying into the space that we primarily play in with this Florida Artisan Contractor General Liability program. Then we will go over our program and planned exciting news about program expansion. Go over some additional information for you and then take any questions that you guys might have. We also do have a live Q&A going in the chat. So if you look at that Q&A button at the top of your Teams window, you can send questions to the team and they will be happy to jump on and answer those questions for you. As said before, my name is Matt Waxman. I'm the AVP of Sales and Marketing. Megan Kelly is our AVP of Commercial Product and Underwriting, and we will be primarily speaking on the webinar today.
All right, so let's jump in. So what I want to do today is to identify some key general liability exposures that are commonly faced by the contractors and provide some practical strategies to mitigate these risks from both the agent's and the insured's perspective. So jumping right in, one of the biggest areas where these small contractors get caught off guard is with the fine print of their contracts that they sign. Many of these contractors sign hold harmless or indemnification agreements and don't know what they're signing. These agreements often push the liability back on them and create large uninsured exposures and underwriting concerns. So some of the ways to mitigate this is to encourage your insureds to slow down and actually read the contract before they're signing it. We want them to be looking for broad language that's in those contracts, looking out for wording such as indemnify for any and all claims arising out of a project. That type of wording can leave them paying for damages that they have nothing to do with. So that's really important for them to be looking out for that. Where possible, the insured should be negotiating for mutual or hold harmless provisions on both sides, meaning that both parties agree to take responsibilities for their own negligence. For our smaller contractors, most of them don't have in-house or legal counsel, so it's worth having a standard contract reviewed by an attorney once so that they have a template that they can use going forward. It's a small investment for them, but it can prevent years of headaches kind of later down the road. And it's also something that underwriters love to see that's in place with some of these contractors. Finally, making sure that the subcontractors are insured and they carry their own insurance and they meet the minimum insurance requirements. We love to see that there's additional insured status for these contracts as well. If a subcontractor has a loss and doesn't have proper coverage, the liability can roll uphill very quickly. This is one of the areas where education and proactive management go a long way. So most claims in this category aren't from bad work, but they stem from bad contracts. So helping your insureds understand what they're signing protects both them and the carrier. The next exposure is the premise operations and completed operations. This is an area that's often misunderstood. Many contractors believe that their work terminates at the end of the job when they're finished and they get paid. But in reality, the claims can often surface months or years later, especially when you're talking about construction defects or water intrusion type scenarios. One of the best defense against these future claims is solid documentation. So really having those contractors keep detailed records of what materials they've used, who performed what work, if they have any inspection reports, and any change orders. Documenting that process is really going to help them for potential future claims. I can't tell you the amount of construction defect claims that we've seen and try to work with the insured where they have no recollection of what job that they were there. They have no information, which really provides it is a difficult time to try to evaluate and investigate those losses when there's no information that we can obtain from the insured. Many of the small contractors have carry minimal limits. So it's very important that you have conversations and make sure that the insureds are carrying adequate limits, not just for the premise operations, but also for those completed operations. Those completed operations is where we see the severity of those losses. End of job inspections and sign-offs are a simple but powerful tool. Having both parties sign off on the work that was completed satisfactory can really help close the loop and limit disputes later on. Even after completion, having clear warranty follow-ups or service protocols really show accountability, and this can help mitigate any small issues from turning into large claims in the future. The key message here is that contractors' responsibilities don't end when the tools are packed up. The completed operations exposures linger, but with documentation, strong closeout procedures, and proper coverage, these risks can be well managed. Residential renovation hazards. This is probably the most common operation that we see for the small contractors, for our painters, remodelers, electricians, and handypersons. But it comes with a different set of liability exposure than, let's say, for new construction. The risk drivers here are the environment that the insureds are working in and working around. So the first here is to protect and cover the customer's property and content. So when you're working inside of someone's home or business, you're surrounded by their personal property. You've got their furniture, flooring, their electronics. So really taking proper precautions to protect all of that property is going to go a long way. You know, encouraging the insured to use drop clause and protect the homeowner's contents before they begin work. Any documentation that they can do with photos beforehand is also very helpful in light of a future claim. Older buildings may have lead paint, asbestos, or mold that the insureds need to be aware of. So the contractors need to be aware of the EPA renovations, repair, and painting protocols, and make sure that their workers are trained and following proper procedures. So this is a big source of claims and regulatory fines, so especially for those painters, drywallers, and demo contractors. Anytime you're doing any welding or grinding or torch work, the fire risk can skyrocket, especially in these kind of finished spaces. So the contractors need to have a proper proper controls in place to mitigate these losses, including fire extinguishers and even a cool down period before they leave. So many of the claims that we see come from embers that smolder after work, after the workers have left. So having proper controls in place really help mitigate those losses. Clear communication with the homeowners on any scope of work can prevent a lot of misunderstanding. As long as the insured and the homeowner set expectations about noise, dust, access, and even the scope of work, that can really help in the event of a claim. So many of the disputes start as a simple miscommunication about what was or wasn't included in a job. So establishing that up front can, again, minimize any future issues. Ultimately, the renovation exposure can be managed through planning and good housekeeping. These controls not only prevent losses, but they also demonstrate professionalism, which can help the insured win business and prevent and maintain, their positive reviews. The next exposure is equipment and tool related exposures. So this might seem like a basic one, but your unsecured and improperly used tools can really lead to a significant amount of job site injuries or property damages. Whether it's drop tools that drop on a vehicle or power equipment that's left unattended, these losses are entirely preventable with a little planning and discipline. So the first step here is to secure the tools when they're not in use. Seems obvious, but sometimes we get into the routine and contractors tend to skip some of those obvious steps. But this means when they're not in use, making sure that they're locked up, especially at night, using toolboxes, job site storage containers, and keeping the work area organized. Theft is a huge concern on our inland marine. So making sure that your small hand tools, generators, and any equipment left on the job site is securely secure. Even experienced workers can misuse tools if they're in a hurry or if they are just using the wrong tool to complete a project. So simple safety refreshers can really go a long way, such as reminding people to use the guards or wearing their PPE can make a big difference. I think the item here is training isn't just for the new hires. Retraining is very important for contractors, really for anybody. Equipment failures often trace back to poor maintenance, but such as frayed cords, dull blades, or even faulty pressure valves. So routine inspections and preventative maintenance programs really help to identify these issues before they cause any damage or injury. And then lastly, contractors should be also thinking about the site separation. So making sure that there is distinct areas between where they are working and where the public is, via use of caution tape or cones and other warning signs to really make sure that the equipment is not, make sure that the public is not impacted by the use of the equipment. At the end of the day, the tools and equipment safety isn't just an OSHA compliance. It's about protecting your reputation, your crew, and the bottom line of your business. The last exposure that we're going to go over is the job site housekeeping and debris control. So again, this seems minor, but this is where most of our frequency and preventable losses are coming from. That poor site housekeeping, loose materials, or unsecured cords, they're all simple issues that can turn into big claims if they're not handled appropriately. So here you want to start with the control. So contractors should define and maintain a safe working perimeter. Again, using those cones, caution tape, and signage to keep the homeowners or pets or any trades that are not actively working in the area, keep them out so there's not additional liability exposure. Next is to eliminate the trip hazards. Seems like a simple thing, picking up cords that are, across the walkway, tools left on the stairs, uneven surfaces, just all of those obvious things. But that is what leads to these issues is, when these contractors get a little, they're in the middle of the job and they're starting to get a little sloppy. So these are easy fixes to prevent most of those slip and fall claims. It's also about maintaining the awareness throughout the day and not just in the beginning. So when they're in the middle of the job getting busy, they need to be cognizant of these things as well. Ladders, scaffolding, and debris piles should always be secured and neatly stacked. Anything can, happen in the middle of the day, whether it's wind, rain, or a curious kid comes over, can easily turn anything that is unsecure into a safety hazard and potential property damage. Finally, the consistency. I think that's the big thing here is consistency matters. So make site cleanup and safety checks part of the daily routine. Encourage the foreman to document conditions with a quick photo. That's a great way to protect themselves if something does go wrong later down the road. These are all small everyday practices that separate, your professional contractors from the risky ones. So clean, controlled job sites just don't prevent the claims, but they reflect the pride of the workmanship and commitment to the overall quality. So we talked about where the risks are coming from. Now I want to talk a little bit about how the Alchemy can step in and solve for some of these. So the first here is the Alchemy Artisan General Liability is designed to help the contractors manage contractual liability through flexible coverage options. We have several additional insured endorsements, ranging from your completed operations, ongoing operations, waiver of subrogation. Those are the ones that are more commonly used to really help the contractor meet the needs of the contracts that they're doing. We also have blanket additional insureds, depending on the class code of the policy, that again can provide even more coverage for the insureds. So these forms help protect insureds when working under the subcontractor agreements, keeping them compliant with certificates and contractor requirements. Our program provides comprehensive protection for both ongoing operations and completed operations. Our appetite centers on low severity premise risks and well-managed completed operations where we avoid those high hazard tract or multi-unit developments. The residential renovations, Alchemy thrives in this arena. So our renovations and remodeling work remain one of our most successful and actively written areas of the program. We have a remodeling class code, which combines 20 class codes into one. So this really gives the insured a broad coverage of all of the different types of trades that would be included in a remodel. This is designed for work on an existing structure versus new construction. It's really on that remodeling. And it also allows for work to be subcontracted. So we understand that, and we almost expect our insured not to be the jack of all trades, jack of a lot of trades, but not all of them. So where they do not have those specific skills, whether it's electrical or plumbing, we would expect that they sub those out, and it's allowed under this class code. Alchemy also helps protect the contractor business, their property with our thorough inland marine options. So we have 3 different inland marine options to provide additional coverage for the contractors. We have contractors tools coverage, which is for coverage for items under $1,000. We have scheduled equipment coverage, which is for items that are over $1,000. Those pieces of equipment need to be specifically scheduled on the policy. And then we have an installation floater as well, which provides coverage for items that will be installed, whether they are in transit or awaiting installation. A great way to round out an account and really provide coverage for the insured's financial interest in their tools so that if something happens, they can continue to work after a claim. And then lastly, our program focuses a lot on the service and repair contractors who travel between multiple job sites. It's important here is where good housekeeping practices make all the difference. So one of the things that we have built into our program is a minimum $250 property deductible. This promotes accountability with the contractor and also reduces the minor claim frequency. We also partner with agents to create custom safety and training materials to reinforce best practices. Some of the examples of what we have done in the past is tool safety, mower and yard equipment protocols, protecting underground utilities, and child safety around active job sites. So a lot of these are stemming from claims that we have seen in the past where if we feel that if we can provide that information back out to the insured in the format of training, that it will help not only the insured, but also on the back end, the company, so that it's a win-win, that our results will be more favorable. These are the key areas of how Alchemy, our Artisan General Liability policy, provides practical insurance solutions to help the agents and contractors manage common liability exposures with confidence. So from here, we're going to jump into a little bit more about Alchemy as a whole, and then I think, Matt, you're going to take that.
Yes, I will jump right in and take it.
Okay.
So some of you on the call are already familiar with Alchemy Insurance Solutions, and some of you on this call are saying, I don't know who the heck you guys are. I just got some recontracting paperwork a while ago, and I was told to sign it. I will keep this sort of brief. Alchemy Insurance Solutions is an MGU. We are a sister company of Cypress Property and Casualty, which I'm assuming most of you on this call are already familiar with, especially within the Florida space. This Artisan Contractor program used to live with Cypress. Now it lives with us, where we can go ahead and put it in Megan's capable hands, and she can go ahead and build it out to be a more robust program. So as we get our hands on it, we start to look for ways to develop to solve some of the pain points that you're experiencing in the marketplace, open up class codes, and continue to look at other ways that we can develop this program to make it more robust for you and your producers. Alchemy itself, we've been around for a little over 10 years now, primarily started in the self-storage tenant insurance space, then moving over into builder's risk, where some of you may already be familiar with our coastal builder's risk offering within the state of Florida and Texas. Super successful program designed to write builder's risk all the way up to the water with wind coverage. So that is another program that we are very proud of, that we continue to expand opportunities in and continue to look for opportunities to really solve those pain points in the Florida property market. And that is the way I usually describe Alchemy. So we used to be Cornerstone Insurance Producers, fairly generic insurance name. We rebranded earlier this year. Some of you have already heard this story from me. But really aligning with what our culture is, and that is transforming insurance, the way we, build our insurance relationships, and the way that we solve problems. So I usually tell people we're solving for the difficult X. If there's a pain point in the market, we're going to try and find a solution for it. If something is a little bit hairy on an underwriting risk, our team is going to try and go ahead and find a way to get that written for you. And we're not afraid to provide you that opportunity to go directly to our underwriters, to get a fast turnaround, to get your voice heard when it comes to the risk that you need to place. And that's really what we promise to you guys, is that unwavering support, trying to go ahead and make sure that we're providing the best programs for our clients.
I think that is a great segue into our class code expansion. So right now I am excited to announce that we have, phase 1 of our expansion coming on 11/1. It is already in the system. You can quote with effective dates of 11/1 and see what's out there. But where this all is coming from is we have partnered with agents, and they provide feedback of the items that are difficult for them to place. And we have kind of taken that information, and this is what we're coming back with. So again, phase 1, we have phase 2 coming in a couple months. So the first class code here to announce is we have a new HVAC class code. So if you're familiar with our current program, our traditional AC HVAC class codes are limited to 1 to 4 family dwellings. So what we're hearing from the agents is, yeah, that's great, but our insureds, they're going to do what they're going to do. And if they get a job, which is in a multi-unit or it's an apartment or a townhome, they're going to take that job. So we listened, we heard, and that's why we're coming out with this new class code. This class code is eliminating that limitation to the 1 to 4 family dwellings. So with a reevaluated price point, we now can expand to include those larger jobs under this class code. The one thing to just highlight here is if you are using this class code, do not select one of those, the traditional AC or HVAC class codes, or else your coverage will then be restricted again. The good thing is we have underwriters on the back end that are going to be looking out for this, as we do on every policy, making sure that the policy is written how it should be. If we see any discrepancies, we're going to reach out and question it. Another class code that we're really excited to introduce is our handyperson commercial. This class code is designed to fit the needs of clients that are doing commercial work. So if you're familiar with our program, you know that we have a handyperson residential class code. This now is kind of its complement. So it's designed for contractors who are not licensed in a particular trade, but they're just doing general maintenance, service, and repair work. The majority of work should be interior. Any exterior work is limited to the servicing and repair of the actual existing structure. If there's other maintenance operations, they should be separately rated for. If you've got someone that's going to be doing landscaping or pressure washing, those class codes need to be specifically listed on the policy. There is a cap on the square footage for this class code. Again, really designed. What we're looking for here is office buildings, retail, strip shopping centers. We want to stay away from significant large industrial work, hospitals, your superstores or grocery stores. That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for that kind of smaller, mid-size commercial work. What this will really help with is pairing it together with our residential handyperson class code. So if you have a contractor that may dabble between residential and commercial, putting these two class codes together will give them full coverage for the handiwork that they do. We're excited to bring back the carpentry NOC class code. This will allow for commercial construction. So effective 11/1, this will allow for the renovation work of commercial facilities. However, stay tuned for our upcoming changes that will significantly impact this class code in the future. And then also we have our grading of land, another class code that we're bringing back, which expands eligibility for site prep, contractors working on those small to mid-scale projects. Again, if you're not familiar with us, I'll give a little bit of overview of what the program is. So it is tailored for your small artisan specialty trade contractors. Think electrical, painters, landscapers, janitorial. So our minimum premiums start around at $400 and go up to, the minimum premium goes up to $625 for your 1 million, 2 million limits. We offer coverage for new ventures, provided that they have 1 year of experience in the particular trade. We also offer up to 15 class codes on a policy. So this really gives you the opportunity to fully cover your insured for any operation that they're going to do. As previously mentioned, we have optional inland marine coverages. We've got the tools, equipment, and installation floater to really round out that coverage for your insured and protect their investment in their equipment. We have an instant rate quote bind platform. If you're familiar with the system, you can probably test within 3 minutes, probably less. You can get a quote, maybe 5 minutes, you can bind the policy. So very quick and intuitive to go through our rating system. We recently implemented e-signature within the system. So this is a great enhancement for the agents. As soon as the policy is bound, our system emails the insured a link for them to e-sign the application, and then it comes right back to us. So, that helps the agent not having to go back and forth and find that signed application. And it also then is retained with us in-house. So if we need it in the future, we have it. So we don't need to, be asking in 3 or 5 years on where those applications are. We offer direct bill options, a 4-pay, a 9-pay, full pay, of course. We have EFT options as well. And then we are an admitted carrier, as Matt mentioned. This is written on the Cypress Property and Casualty paper. They handle the policy issuance. We handle the underwriting. They do the policy issuance. And also from the claim standpoint, they manage all of the claims. So we are excited to announce that we have a knowledge-based training site coming soon. It should be sooner than later, have the finishing touches on this, but this will be a full document that will walk you through the quoting process. Again, it's quite user-friendly, but if you need a tutorial, we will have that to add as an added reference for you. If you're not appointed with us, please get appointed with us. Hopefully you've heard, good things here, and there's more good news coming in about 2 months. So please stay tuned. And as we continue to evolve this program and look for more opportunities. As always, you can follow us on LinkedIn. And then lastly here, the contact information. We have a generic email address for underwriting. It's gluw@alchemyins. You can email any underwriting questions there. We have a team of underwriters that are very efficient in getting back to you. I would say 2 to 4 hours, you'll have an answer, or at least a response that we're looking into something for you. So we pride ourselves on, quick turnaround times. Any Q&A?
I was going to say, it's been a pretty quiet group. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand. We're more than happy to unmute you so that you can ask that question live. Okay. Does your grading of land include, hold on, bear with me 1 second. Does your grading of land include tree removal?
It's not going to be your traditional tree removal. So yeah, yes, it will. But what that doesn't do is it does not allow you to then just go do tree work. It has to be in conjunction with the grading operations.
All right, next question, max sub work as % of sales. Does it vary by class? If so, max on the renovation code.
So our max subcontracted receipts is 40% of your gross receipts. That is what we go up to. Our system will allow you to do 25%, and that will go through the system. 26 to 40% will come to underwriting for approval. We do have 2 class codes that do not allow any subcontracted work. Those are going to be your handyperson and your handyperson residential and commercial. We do not allow any subcontracted work under those class codes.
Doesn't look like we have that many other questions. One last call for questions. If not, we will let you guys go enjoy your day and get in there and start quoting. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the monthly webinar series. Look for an announcement to come out in the next couple of weeks for next month's webinar series. I think we're possibly shooting it back to the builder's risk side of things, or we may be looking at some other new exciting news coming from the team at Alchemy with regard to programs. So definitely keep posted to your email, check our LinkedIn, look for that announcement to come out, register for future webinars, come see what we have to say, come engage with us. We love to hear from you guys as well. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.